Well, welcome everybody to our MA Web Center's webinar series. I went ahead and I put our distributor support website on there because a lot of the information that you learned tonight, you're going to want to maybe refresh on or watch it again or look for some of the materials that I'm going to show you tonight in our webinar. So all of the materials that I'm going to be showing you tonight are available for download on mawc411.com. So go ahead and take note of that website. And if you don't already have a copy, go ahead and grab yourself a copy. Um, so I've been getting a lot of requests recently in the previous weeks to talk about where do we find website prospects, and if we've already exhausted our network, our warm network, how can we work in other networks? And so a lot of people throw around the term cold calling, which is a real old school way of selling where you create a list and you just call through and you play the numbers game and you just hope that it works out. And so there's nothing wrong with talking to prospects that you don't know, and dealing with what we call a cold market. But I really do believe that there's a proper way to do that that is more valuable, that's going to lead you to more quality appointments, more quality relationships, which is exactly what you should be aiming for. You want a customer for life, right? You don't just want a quick sale that may or may not pan out. Um, and you want people to lead you to referrals, and you want that ongoing relationship, because there's a lot that people can give and take when you take the time to put the puzzle pieces together, which is why I put that graphic over there. So we have a lot of brand new web center owners. We have a since World Conference, and we also have a lot of people that are running on the contest, and we also have a lot of people that are experienced, that again have exhausted their warm market and are looking for more strategies to meet new prospects and to warm them up so that they have more possibilities and more candidates to work with. So, what we're going to be talking about tonight is, it's threefold, and we have covered these topics on our web volume contest webinar series. So, this will be an expanded version of that, and it'll be a great recap. But if you haven't been on the web volume webinars because you're not participating, that's fine. This will be brand new information. But just again, we are recording this information, so you should be able to watch this webinar as early as tomorrow again, and recap and apply some of the new strategies that we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about prospecting in your existing warm market and taking it to the next level and prospecting people that you don't know so that you can meet more possibilities and work with more candidates than if you just rely on who you know right now. All right, so a couple of quick reminders before we get started. The first and third Tuesdays of our webinar series are dedicated to continuing education. So it's things like tonight, where we pick a topic and we just delve into it, and it has to do with web centers in either sales or our product and how we compare, or it has to do with business building strategies within the web center program. So that is typically what happens on the first and third Tuesdays. The second and fourth Tuesdays are what we call our Web Center Owner Overview, which is very similar to a UBP for Web Center owners. So if you're prospecting interns or distributors that would make excellent Web Center owners, and you want them to get an overview of what the Web Center program is all about, you can plug them into a live webinar on the second and fourth Tuesday, where myself or a trainer or a fast track coach, or a very successful Web Center owner will conduct the overview. And again, it's very similar to a UBP. So at the end, we'll answer a couple of questions, and then we will encourage your guests to follow up with you, for the next steps. Tonight during the webinar, if you have any questions, go ahead and send it in the chat box below. But just keep in mind that I am doing this solo, so I won't be actually answering questions until the end of the webinar. But I will stay on as late as we need to answer questions, and help with anything that was unclear that you guys need some clarification on. And again, the webinars are recorded, and we upload all of our successful recordings to mawc411.com. And I just actually wanted to take a second and show you something, because I want to make sure that people understand the playlist. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to the site live. This is mawc411.com. If you click over on training and support and scroll down to webinars, you will see here the series that we have set forward, just like I described. And on the bottom here, are the different playlists that we have. So, over here is business building with MA Web Centers. So last week we did, or the last Tuesday we did, you know, uh, an overview of the web volume contest and how that could support your business. That's right here. Sales strategies over here. Stuff about our product all over here. So when you hit play, excuse me, and then you click over here on the playlist, you can see that there's other webinars that are also uploaded that you can review. All kinds of information. And again, they're categorized by business building with web centers, sales strategies with web centers, and about our product. One other thing to keep in mind, we also have another YouTube channel that is dedicated to product-centric stuff only. And the reason that we did that is because we wanted you guys to have a way to share videos about our product and the benefits of our product and how we could help a small business owner um, in a way that was going to protect you, because this is all business building stuff for you guys as web center owners. And so, you don't want your candidates to learn how to sell websites. You want them to learn about our product. So we have a separate channel for that as well. And you can find that if you go to our Facebook page, it's on there. Okay, so back to the game plan. Tonight we're going to talk about, again, I wanted to give everybody like an A to Z strategy for really succeeding with web centers. And so we're going to talk very quickly about proper goal setting. And I'm going to give you some very specific breakdowns that are very different than, just what you see in the Getting Started guide. I'm going to actually share with you the strategy that we use in our own organization. That is how we implement what we read in the Getting Started guides. Okay. I want to talk to you about putting yourself on an action plan that is digestible, that is small enough so that when we talk about where you're going to find leads and how you're going to apply, yourself in conversations, I want you to have an action plan to accompany your goal. A goal statement is not enough. A goal statement that is not accompanied by an action plan is not going to get achieved, and that's really what we want for you. So we will talk about what 312 is and why everybody should be doing that. And then when we talk about lead generation, we're going to talk about it in three different terms. We're going to talk about it in terms of warm markets, where everybody needs to begin. And then we're going to talk about two different strategies that feed your warm market, meaning you don't know these people right away, but you can get to know these people and they eventually become part of your warm market. So we're going to talk about talking with prospects that have a sense of urgency, and just being logical about the kinds of people that you're going to talk to. So right now, in a lot of areas, it is what we call contractor season and home show season. So, a lot of contractors are getting ready for the busiest part of their season, and there's a high urgency for them to get their advertising in order. So, a lot of people in my area are reaching out to them for websites or whatever they specialize in, right? Now, if you live in an area that is not a seasonal industry, that's fine. There's other examples that I'm going to give you tonight as well. We're going to talk about how to use timing to your benefit rather than to your detriment. We're also going to talk about how working in industries that you are already familiar with is going to help you to feel more confident, so that you can talk to prospects that you don't know and feel comfortable having an intelligent conversation about their business. So that, again, you can identify more candidates and work with more people. So like I said, we did cover these topics over the past 3 weeks, spanned out over 3 weeks on our webinar series for the contest, but this is going to be more expanded, and it'll be an excellent recap if you've already gotten this information. So let's get started. Goal setting is critical in anything that we do. So before we talk about where you're going to find leads, let's just talk about why you're going to find leads. If you don't identify why you're going to find leads, and if you're not really physically committed to the process, because it doesn't have anything meaningful attached to it for you, then everything that I'm going to tell you tonight is not going to matter. Because if you learned anything at World's Conference this year from J.R. Reidinger, it's information is not enough. It's the application that is going to transform your business, right? So information plus application equals transformation. So why do people apply their information? Well, they apply information because they know that it's important to them for a specific reason. And that's why, I know a lot of people skip goal setting, but it's really important that you do this. So I'd like everybody to take the time this week, if you haven't done that, to just identify why they are participating in this process at all. Be very, very specific, right? Because if you're real specific and you're uncomfortable or you're tired or it's inconvenient for you to do the work and to talk to your leads one day, if you have a specific reason why you're doing this, that's going to motivate you to get off your butt and do the work. All right. It's also going to motivate you to keep doing the work when you do experience a little bit of success, because I'm telling you guys, when you make your first website sale, and if you stay committed and you follow the process and you don't try and reinvent the wheel, you will be successful. I mean, this is a foolproof system. It's not a matter of if you're going to succeed, but when you're going to succeed. So, when you do make that first sale, and you will, and you get $1,000, auto deposited into your account, because that's the average website retail profit, you're going to, have a natural human tendency to slow down. And I'm encouraging you right now not to do that. Don't fall into that, because I'm telling you, the hardest part about any part of our business and about sales in general is getting started, getting that momentum going. And, like I said last night, even, your goal is to build up that momentum so that you always have prospects that are in the hopper ready to buy a website. You have people that are in the evaluation process that are getting their answers, the answers to the questions that they have, and you have a group of people that you're going to get started with prospecting. Because if you have all three of those things happening at any given time, that's when you have a very healthy web center business. That's when you always have something ready to pop, and you always have something ready to move to the next level, and you don't have what we call these dead periods. Now, if you make a sale and you stop prospecting, or if you're only prospecting one or two people and you're just constantly following up with two people and you stop the prospecting process, then you don't have sales coming in every month. That's not, if you want to have consistent sales, you have to be consistent with your prospecting. And so goal setting and having serious goals set is going to help you to stay consistent so that you can have that healthy business that I'm asking you to strive for. So you want to decide exactly what you want in terms of what your income goal is and what your retail sales goal is. So, what we did when we got started with the Web Center contest is we wrote May 18th as a goal date. And the reason that we did that was because that was the end of the the web volume contest that's being run. So, again, two separate goals are very important here, because, Jeremy and I feel very, very strongly when we're running this program that we want web center owners to have a healthy unfranchise. How can you be a successful unfranchise owner with a specialty in web centers? So we want to make sure that we're supporting your entire business growth and not just your sales growth. Okay. So your income goal, not just your pin level goal, but an income goal. How much money do you want ongoing coming into your business by May 18th? And what is your sales goal for May 18th? And how can you break that down into real numbers? So this is how we map income goals in our business for what we do. We keep some basic math and some basic numbers in mind. And I included those on the right-hand side here. So the average distributor produces 250 BV per month. That's a fact. Now, I know with base 10.7 strong, the goal is to get them to 400 BV per month. And if you don't know what that is, you need to attend a basic 5 and make sure you really understand what base 10.7 strong is. So again, we want people to strive for 400, but the average distributor production is 250 BV. So when I'm mapping out what my income goal is for myself or for people in my group, we go with the average. We always like to underestimate, over deliver. And so by going with 250, it allows us to do that. Another critical piece of information to keep in mind for your math. If you show 4 plans, then the average is that one person will start their business, right? So if you want to personally sponsor one distributor, then what you should do statistically is show 4 plans, right? It's really that simple, guys. Also, a little bit of a thing to keep in mind. Remember, we're talking about income goals here. So remember, the 4th check of your pay cycle is not a 1200 BV jump. It's a 1400 BV jump, right? So you get paid when you hit 1200 and 1200, you get $300, right? When you hit 2400 on each side, you get another $300 commission check. When you hit 3600, you get another $300 commission check. And when you go ahead and you jump to 5000 BV on each side, you get a $600 commission check. So again, because we're mapping out an income goal here, we need to keep that in mind. Again, you want to underestimate, over deliver. keep also in mind that we are not getting paid on just your own personal delivery. You're getting paid on group business volume. And that the plans that we're going to recommend that you show are both plans that you're going to show to your personal prospects and to people in your organization, right? So, or prospects of people in your organization. So, on the left-hand side here, I'm just going to give you this example that we gave so you can use it for yourself and you can map out your own goals. The goal date that we gave was May 18th, and this was 3 weeks ago. So that was a total of 11 weeks that we were going to give ourselves to hit this goal, okay? And that's very important. You need to know how many weeks you're giving yourself so that you can break it down into what you need to be doing every week to hit your personal goal. So this person was a brand new person, and their income goal was to be making $300 per month ongoing income, right? This is not sales. This is not retail profit. This is just MPCP, BV commissions, okay? So from start to finish, they wanted to go from $0 a month to $300 a month over the course of 11 weeks. Now that is very, very doable. All right. So what did they need to achieve that? If you want to be making $300 a month, you need to be generating 1,250 BV on each side of your business every single month. And again, why did I say 1,250 and not 1,200? It's because of that last jump, because you don't want to make it so that the fourth month that you're not getting that last check, but you want to make sure that you're striving to hit a check a month, okay? So you want to make a check a month, then generate 1,250 BV on each side of your business, be activated, etc. So let's break it down one step further. How many distributors producing 250 BV per month do you need on each side of your business to generate 1,250 BV? 5. It's simple. 5 times 250 is 1,250, right? So that's a total for 10 new distributors over the course of 11 weeks. Is that doable? Absolutely. Are you doing this by yourself? Nope. That's exactly why you started your business. You wanted leverage, right? You want to duplicate this so that you're not doing this alone. So if you wanted to go from 0 distributors to 10 new distributors, right? Because that's what your goal is, 10, 5 on each side. How many plans would you statistically need to show in order to generate that many new distributors? And the answer is 40. And here's why. I'm proving my math to you like old school algebra. So 10 new distributors times 4 plans equals 40 plans total that need to get shown. Remember, because 4 plans, the average is 1 will get started. Underestimate, over deliver. So 40 plans need to get shown over the course of 11 weeks. 40 divided by 11 weeks is 3.63 plans. So what I would recommend is that you and the people in your organization show 3 to 4 plans every single week for the next 11 weeks if you want to make $300 a month ongoing. That's how you break down a goal. When you realize that that's all it takes for you to get some money coming in on an ongoing basis, do you think that it might affect the kind of action that you're going to take? Absolutely. That is a digestible, bite-sized thing. And I'm telling you guys, when I first got started my business, I didn't think this logically. And so I actually thought there was something wrong with me. I'm like, why can't I figure this out? And JR is the one that said the reason that you're not achieving the goals that you want is because you're not logically mapping out what it takes to achieve it. So it's really this simple, guys. If you want to get real and start achieving these income goals that you have for yourself, you need to map them out. And you need to be real specific and be a math geek like us. It's worth it. All right. What about retail goals, right? Retail goal mapping example. So let's talk about the facts that we're going to keep in mind here. So the average retail profit for a website is $1,000. Right? And here's another important fact. 1 out of 3 qualified appointments ends in a sale. All right? So that's a very, very critical component when you're thinking about how many appointments you're going to set as a goal for yourself when you're determining how many websites you want to sell, right? Determining how many websites you want to sell over the next 11 weeks, that's not enough, right? Because you don't know how many appointments it takes to on average to make those amount of sales. And that's why you need to have all of these little pieces of the puzzle, right? The pieces of the puzzle all need to fit together. So again, 1 out of 3 qualified appointments ends in a sale. Now, what's a qualified appointment? A qualified appointment is an appointment where all of the decision makers are present and there's truly a need or a market. They're truly in the market and have a need that needs to be filled, right? So that means that you've asked a couple of questions, you've identified a need, and they want to be on the call, and they're, a qualified prospect. So if you're not sure if your prospect is qualified, just let me give you an analogy. If you're showing the plan to somebody that's doing you a favor to see the plan, is that a qualified appointment? Not really. I mean, it could work out, it could not work out, but it's not a qualified appointment. But if you've had a conversation with somebody who's talking about how badly they just want to make a change and they want to make more money, they want more time in their lives or whatever, that's a qualified appointment, right? So you want to have that level of excitement with your website prospects. All right. Again, I want to keep one more thing. That underestimate, over deliver thing is very important. Please keep in mind that the majority of sales happen on the second or third follow up appointment, or sometimes even the fourth or fifth, right? That's sales in general. And the process for website sales is very, very similar to the process for growing your unfranchise, where people don't just make a decision and register their business the first time they see the plan. There's a follow-up process. Questions need to be answered. New questions are developed, and there's a qualification period, right? So just keep all that in mind when you're setting your retail goals. So here's the retail goal mapping example that I put forth here. The goal date again was May 18th, and this was done 3 weeks ago, so 11 weeks to get that done. The retail goal for this particular person was they wanted to earn $2,500 in website retail profit. So, keeping in mind that the average retail profit is $1,000, they needed to strive for at least 3 websites. And actually, if they stick with the average, then they might even exceed the $1,200 retail goal that they gave themselves, right? Because 3 times 1,000 is $3,000. But 2 statistically would not be enough, right? Because 2 times 1,000 is 2,000. So we teach this person to go for 3 website sales. That means that they need to schedule 9 qualified appointments over 11 weeks in order to generate that kind of retail profit, right? And where did we come up with 9? Well, if they want to make 3 sales and they need 3 qualified appointments for each of those sales, 3 times 3 is 9. And so the average appointment that they would need to schedule is about 1 a week. 1 website appointment a week, people can do that in their sleep. And it's amazing to me how many people don't, because it's so easy. All you need to do is follow this process. And I'm going to tell you, because this goal setting, this logical goal setting accompanied by the action plan that I'm going to recommend for everybody on the call tonight will easily put you on track to schedule 1 appointment per week, which would easily put you on track to sell about 1 website a month. And wouldn't that make a difference in your life? I'm just saying. So this is the process. This is the activity that accompanies the goal. All right. We're going to talk about the one on the right-hand side here. It's called 312. 312 is like, my OPC3. I don't go a day without it. It's part of me being healthy business-wise. I take OPC3 for everything else, and I take 312 for my financial health. It's really that simple. Here's what the numbers represent. 3 represents how many people I'm going to talk to every single day for my business. And it's hard sometimes. Sometimes it is hard because I work a lot. I teach dance. I have 2 children that are very active. And I'm a wife, and I'm traveling a lot this season. So, sometimes it's not that easy, and I have to do things like use social media or text people to make sure I get my 3 contacts in. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But 3 people, out of those 3 people that I talk to, 2 of the people I talk to really with the intention of either, working with them in my own franchise or getting them to shop on shop.com or just getting reacquainted with them. It's a overall business contact. All right. One of those contacts is for a possible website sale. Okay. Excuse me. So one of those contacts, that's 1 a day. 1 website contact a day will easily land you 1 appointment a week, which again is going to put you on track to sell 1 website a month. It's really that simple, guys. 1 contact a day. Can you take 30 to 90 seconds of your day and dedicate it to talking to 1 website prospect? I think you can. When you're talking to your 3 people, they're not all going to schedule appointments. That 1 website prospect may or may not schedule an appointment, but I do make it a habit to try and have 1 of those 3 contacts land in some kind of an appointment, whether that's to book an appointment for a website with sales support or a 15-minute consultation, or maybe it was one of my business contacts and I'm going to book an appointment to show the plan or just to have coffee and catch up or whatever. I make it a point to move that conversation along to some sort of booked appointment in my calendar, right? Another thing, so the two refers to adding names to the names list because when you do 312, even though it's such a small amount of contacts a day, you're going to find that, wow, you're working with so many people that you run out of them. So it's important to constantly be adding candidates and prospects to your names list, so you need to do that. 312, one appointment a day. One website contact a day will land you at least one appointment a week if you're doing it right and if you're sticking with it. And that could very, very easily, without a doubt, put you on track for one sale a month. So this is the action plan that we recommend to accompany the really, really smart goal that we just set forth. Another quick little tip is stay organized. This is all available on mawc411.com, so make sure that you download this. It's a stupid little chart. It's made on PowerPoint. It's nothing fancy, but you know what? A big part of sales is follow up. It's very, very interesting when you read the statistics on how many people do and do not follow up, because when you understand that sales happen on the 7th to 8th contact and only 20% of salespeople follow up, you're going to realize that literally 20% of salespeople are enjoying 80% of the sales because they are doing the follow up. The way to do the follow up is stay organized and to be, really, really on point with when you're going to follow up. And the only way to do that is to write it down. You can use this chart. You can use your iPhone. You can use your whatever system you want, as long as you use a system that follows you everywhere that you go. Okay? So, all right, lead generation. This is the fun part. Let's talk about where we can come up with candidates, right? So, warm market prospecting is the quickest, easiest, and most enjoyable way to prospect. So, even if you run out of possibilities, and even with these new strategies I'm going to share with you tonight, understand this. The goal is to build your warm market. The goal is not to cold call. The goal is to warm up cold markets and build that warm network, because this is where lifelong business relationships happen. This is in your best interest. And that is exactly why we're going to start by just doing a quick recap of what a warm market is and how you work with them. And I'm not going to get really, really in detail here because I want to get to the other strategies, but I want you to understand this, that the other strategies, they feed the fundamentals. They feed the foundation, which is working with warm markets. So this is the Getting Started Guide names list generator. This is in your on mawc411.com in the Getting Started Guide. So it asks you to identify specific people that you already know in your life that would be great website candidates. So who do you know that owns a business? Who do you know that works for a business? Like, secretaries or waitresses or dental hygienists, legal paralegals, whatever. Who do you do business with? Where do you go out to eat? Who washes your clothes? Who cuts your lawn? That kind of stuff. Who do you know that's well connected, and who do you want to get to know? We're going to talk about this one a lot more in just a few minutes. So I gave a couple of examples that I had done right before World Conference, and I shared this with everybody. And I wrote down some candidates and the name of their business or where they worked. Right on the left-hand side here, you see a couple of industries that we see sales popping through a lot for. So they're just recommendations. You can actually sell websites in practically any industry as long as it's legal and as long as it is not. There's a couple of small restrictions, but these are the most popular ones that we see. So just keep that in mind. So you fill this names list out, and then you do a little bit of candidate research. So the reason we do candidate research at all, and by the way, you only spend about 1 minute doing this for each candidate. You do not turn this into busy work where now you think you're building your business, but you're not talking to prospects. This is not in lieu of talking to prospects. This is meant to help you to have a higher quality conversation, to be more prepared, and to be more excited or even inclined to reach out to your prospects. So that's why we do that. All right. So what do you look for when you research a candidate on your list? This is regardless of if it's a warm market or a cold market. You just Google them. It's really that simple. Go to Google, put their business name into Google, and just find out, do they even have a website at all? Yes or no? And listen, if they do have a website and you can't find it, that's a really good conversation starter as well, right? Next, when you do find their website, if they have one, just look at it from your consumer point of view. As a consumer, Is this a good website? Does it catch your attention? Would you want to do business with this person? You don't have to be a web developer to ask yourself that question and make a valuable assessment of what this website looks like. Does it look like it's been updated in a while? Yeah, I know that there's like strategies and there's apps you can download that will tell you exactly when the last time it was updated, but that's not really relevant or important. Again, as a consumer, when you're looking at the website, you can pretty much know if the website looks like it's maintained or if it's not. So just take a mental note, or excuse me, write a note down. Don't take a mental note, write it down, of whether or not it looks updated to you. This is going to give you, again, these are going to give you some good conversation starters or places to move the conversation to. Are they using social media? Are there any social media icons present on the website? Yes or no? Are they calling you to action? So, for example, if this was a lawn care website, is there somewhere on the homepage where it's saying, call us for a quote or fill out this form or something that interacts with the viewer of the website? Couple of things. You can answer just one or two or all of these questions, but again, just beware, because you don't want to just give yourself busy work and call it, result producing activities. If you don't apply the information that you found on this research step, this little 1 minute step, then it doesn't matter that you research them, right? It's just words on paper, and that's not going to help you to achieve your goals. So here's the candidate research that I did, and you can see I did not ask all of the little points. I just wanted one little thing for each person or two little things for each person, so that when I picked up the phone and I called my candidates, or when I walked and saw them next, I had something that I knew I wanted to ask them about. That's really all this is about, guys. I'm not looking this up so I can call them and tell them that, their website is horrible and it looks terrible. It looks like it hasn't been updated and I'm going to fix it for them. I just want something to start a conversation, and that's what I'm using my research for. So there's Brian, Green Pro. He's a brand new business. He does not have a site. My sister works at a nutritional counseling company, very established business, but their site is really basic. They're not using social media, and it's really, really not, it's just not representative of how big their company is. So I just took a couple of little notes. Do you see what I'm saying here? Tokyo Asian Cuisine, their menu looked out of date. Quality Tax and Bookkeeping was a brand new designed website, but it wasn't optimized. There was no social media. And to be honest, it does not look like it was done well. And I'm looking at it from, a potential client of hers. I am a client of hers, but if I was a potential client of hers, I would look at that website and it just wasn't great. So if I'm thinking that, I might ask Sue, which is the owner's name. I might say, "Hey Sue, I saw that you guys redid your website. How was it? How did you like it? Do you like the site?" I might ask some questions just to feel her out, right? This was a dry cleaner place in our area. And, when I was getting ready to go to World Conference, I had actually needed to get some dresses dry cleaned. And I found her in, a totally different location. I said, "Anna, oh my gosh, I used to go to you all the time. I thought you guys like closed your business." She goes, "No, no, no, no. We actually just relocated because the building owner literally like tripled my rent. So I decided to just go buy a building and open up somewhere else." I said, "Wow, I wonder how many people didn't know that you relocated and were like me and thought that you closed. Do you guys not have a website?" Right? So I already knew they didn't have a website. I couldn't find them. I couldn't find them for years, actually, like 2 years almost. But I didn't go to her and just say, "Why don't you have a website?" Because that's kind of aggressive, right? I'm just going to use that information in a question form and let her tell me. Next is contacting the candidate. So I just want to recommend that, again, you want to follow this roadmap. This isn't about a script that you're going to memorize. I think scripts are very really robotic and impersonal. And the number one rule in sales is to be a person, to be human, to connect. And you can't connect when you are reading off lines unless you're an actor, which most people are not. So what I'm going to recommend instead is that you follow this conversational marketing strategy, which is you transition a conversation. You have to become a master of this. In sales, this will also really, really affect your efficacy with talking to unfranchised prospects. Social stuff. How are things going? Right? How are the children? How is your family doing? Right? And again, that social component is going to be different based on who you're talking to, because people are people, and you need to treat them as such, right? Respect the relationship that you have. Next is, how's work? How's business been going? That then transitions the conversation to business, and you're asking permission to talk about their business. If you ask this question, they will talk about their business. And from there, you're going to transition the conversation into advertising in their website, right? So if you're asking these questions, chances are they're going to respond with responses that have to do with these things. So if all you do is socialize with your website candidates, then guess what? You're not going to have the kind of conversation that's going to end in a sale, right? But you have to ask these questions. And again, it's not about there's just no right timing. It's like people are people. You feel it out. If you're on the phone, you probably have 30 to 60 seconds to do the social stuff, and you better move on, right? It's different. It's different for every person. It's different for if you're on the phone or if you're face to face or if you're at your kid's soccer game or if you're actually walking into their place of business. You just have to respect the situation that you're in, the space that you're in, and the person that you're talking to. So, data mining and listening, these are just some specific questions that show you how to transition from social to how's the website doing. Starts with basic stuff. How are things going? What's new? How's business been lately? Great. This says, how's the recession been hitting you guys? You can ask any kind of specific question that you want about their business. And then eventually you'll say, how's your website doing anyway? It's that simple. If they say, listen, business has been so slow, I would respond with, well, what are you doing about that? How are you getting your name out there? Are you doing any advertising? Right? That's an appropriate response because I actually want to know exactly what their strategy is for finding new prospects to speed their business up. And they'll answer me, and then I might say, wow, well, do you guys have a website? Right? Because that's a really good follow-up question to the advertising, to the my business has been slow. Now, on the opposite end of that, if they say their business has been really, really booming and they can hardly keep up, I might then just say, well, do you guys have a website? Is that helping you to handle that kind of business growth? And then they'll say, well, what do you mean? I'll say, well, is there anything that maybe you could put online that would free up some of your time, like frequently asked questions or documents that could be downloaded so you don't have to print and mail them, or just anything that might be able to, give you some more time leverage or better customer service so that you don't have to be on the phone answering all these questions or, fulfilling all these needs. Right. So you have to understand that conversations are going to go how they go. And your job is to just listen and relax and respond appropriately. What you say is not as important as what you hear. So you have to ask these questions and actually listen to the responses so that your next follow-up question makes sense. Does that make sense? I hope so. All right. So when you are asking questions and you do finally ask, how's the website doing? Their response is generally going to fall into 4 different categories. They're either going to say it's doing really well, it's doing terribly, they don't have one, or that they're working on it. And what I want to let everybody know is that regardless of what response they give you, you need to understand that the next thing that comes out of your mouth needs to be another question, right? Because you need to ask more questions because your goal is not to just schedule appointments that are with people that may or may not have a need. You want to set qualified appointments. And a way to do that is to ask a few more follow-up questions. Also, don't assume that people are not a candidate unless you've asked a couple of questions because you don't know. If they say their website is doing really great, what does that mean? Maybe they just don't want to share or open up to you right away that there's some things that they wish they could change, right? So how do you get them to do that? Well, you ask another question like, that's awesome. What do you like about your website? And then they'll tell you. And then you could ask another question. Is there anything that it's not doing that you wish that it was doing? See how I just did that? You can just you never know. Most business owners are not going to necessarily feel comfortable coming right out of the gate and saying, yeah, our website is horrible. We hate it. Because that's, it shows something that they're lacking in or that they should have done that they haven't taken care of yet. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, if they say their website is doing terrible, or that they don't have one, web center owners tend to rush to sell an appointment right away, but you don't even know what the need is, right? So ask a couple more questions. Well, what don't you like about your website? Right? Get some more specifics because the more specifics you get, the more opportunities you have to solve a problem for them. If you just schedule an appointment right away, you don't even know what you're helping them with, right? Or let they say they're working on it. Again, don't assume that they're not a candidate. That could just literally mean that it's on their to-do list. I'm working on it. What does that mean? Are they under contract? Or is this something that's on their New Year's resolution that they haven't gotten to yet? Again, you'll never know if you stop asking questions. And I promise you that if you rush to the appointment right away after some of these other responses, you're going to be disappointed in the quality of the appointment, that happens, and it's not going to be anybody's fault. It's just that you didn't have enough you didn't give yourself an opportunity to really data mine and find some real problems that you could solve. So when you go ahead and schedule the appointment, go ahead, have a nice answer to what is it. It should feel natural. It should feel honest. It should feel organic. Simple as that. So if you're not a website developer, we recommend the referral approach. It's not an area I specialize in, but the company I work with has a whole division that helps businesses like yours. So I'd be happy if you want to get you an appointment, have one of the product specialists, do an appointment for you and see if they might be able to help you out with XYZ said problem that you just told me about. What's best for you, mornings or afternoons? It's really as simple as any other product that you would ever recommend. If I had a friend that was complaining about their taxes right now, I would absolutely recommend my accountant because my accountant is incredible. She's really, really great. I trust her. I've had her for forever. Now, when I make that recommendation, I would even say to her, "Listen, let me give Sue a call for you because she's really good, and I know that that she would really take care of you." It makes my friend feel important. It's that VIP treatment, and I'm just simply making a referral based on the fact that I know that Sue can help her. That's exactly what you're doing in this simple sales approach. You're just simply just saying, look, I don't specialize in this, but I work with an awesome company, and like every division holds themselves to, a very high standard. I know that they've been able to help thousands of businesses just like yours. Let me do you a favor. Let me get you an appointment with a product specialist. They will not only talk to you about how our system might be able to help you with the particular problems that you were just telling me about, but they'll also be able to answer your questions at the end, and it'll be more like a consultation where you can ask them some more specific questions, and they may or may not be able to help you out. What is a good time? You're not asking them if they want an appointment, you're asking them when. It's just a little sales strategy. So this really works, and it's so funny because the more you convolute this, the harder it is for you to schedule an appointment. It's really easy for most people and web center owners to say this because they're not web developers. And so this feels honest. And when you feel honest, you communicate honestly. And that's very, very important in sales and when you're talking to people. If you can't feel comfortable in your own skin making the recommendation, then your prospect is not going to feel confident in your recommendation. All right. So let's talk about including some new candidates here. So I want to talk to you about two different things. I want to talk to you about prospecting candidates with a sense of urgency. Warm markets, like we just talked about, are always going to be a working list, right? And you're always going to be feeding that warm market list. But again, keep in mind that with that warm market list, we were talking about that synergistic, flow that you're looking for, where you have people that are ready to buy, people that are in the evaluation process, and people that you're ready to prospect now. So timing is a factor, right? When you show somebody the website or they do their first appointment, they may or may not be ready to get started right away. It might be a 4 to 6 week period. I've had people that I have followed up with for over 6 months that, finally bought a website 6 to 9 months later, right? So timing is a factor for people. You cannot control timing. Timing is everything, right? So why not use timing as a factor to your advantage? Why not work with people that have a high sense of urgency to close sooner because the timing in their business, in their life is good right now? Identify candidates with a sense of urgency so that, again, you can use their timing to your advantages. So we're going to specifically talk about contractors because a lot of places in the US right now, like I said, it's in contractor season. But before I do that, I want to give you a couple of other areas that you can consider to work with candidates with urgency, because you may be in a place where seasonally this does not matter for you. This example, any business that's opening soon generally has a budget allocated for starting their business, for advertising, for getting their name out there. They have a high sense of urgency. They usually have, again, money set aside. Any kind of seasonal businesses in your area where the season is about to kick into full gear, 4 to 6 weeks before their season kicks into full gear is when they're like in crunch time to get ready. Keep that in mind. Vacation areas in different parts of the season. Catering companies in seasonal areas is also a big thing because a lot of catering companies do a lot of offsite catering and company picnics in the summer. There's graduation parties. There's going away parties, summer bashes, family reunions, all kinds of stuff that really kicks up in the summertime. for a lot of catering companies. Party rentals, tent rentals, those kinds of businesses also tend to do the same kinds of things alongside with catering. Contractors, roofers, siders, builders, lawn care, landscapers, hardscapers, pool installations, people that build homes, do additions, anything to do with outside that isn't like window repairs and things or inside kind of things. Those things generally happen all year long, and so do roofing too. But just contractors that work bigger or more hours in the summer, keep that in mind. We're talking about contractor season. So contractors are in a mad rush right now in the Northeast, the Mideast, all over really, to get their advertising in order. And you can apply this strategy to any of those examples that I gave you on the previous slide. But what I want to do is just give you some specifics to contractors for now. So where can you find good candidates? Now, where can you identify contractors? And again, these are not people that you know, but that you're going to make an effort to get to know them. You can identify them at home shows, in mailers, like when you open up your mail, they send you things like in a Val pack or whatever. Sometimes they walk around and literally leave flyers on your door. Your neighbors that are getting work done, and there's like a lawn sign. Maybe you're driving and a car, a van, or a truck pulls up to you with a magnet or a phone number or whatever. Services that you've used, or services that you're considering to use. Just so you guys know, a little tip. When we were doing this, like really around contractor season, especially when you pull up to a red light and some roofer company like pulls up next to you, if they don't have a website on their van, chances are that they don't have one or they don't like it. So it's a really good candidate. So one of the things that you can do is just snap a picture with your phone, or you can hit the record function and just like say the words into your phone, because you probably don't have enough time to like sit down and write down the phone number and the name of the business that you found on that truck or van. So taking a picture and then going home and adding it to your list, or recording it on your phone is a good option. Just a little tip. All right. Now, just as with warm markets, I recommend that you investigate the people that you've identified, these lists that you're going to create for yourself before you call. So you whip out a chart and you say, okay, here are all the different contractors in my area, or whatever it is that you're looking for. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to do that same candidate research, because it's actually more important here than it is with your warm markets, because you don't have an existing relationship with these candidates. So the fact that you're going to ask a very valuable question, or a question that's going to really strike a chord with your candidate, is more critical than someone that that's going to give you the time of day because you have some sort of existing relationship. I hope that makes sense. So I write the business name, the contact name, because when I call them up, I'm going to find out the name of the business owner. I'm also going to find out the name of anybody that I've talked to, so that when I call this business back, a couple of days from now, I could say to the secretary, "Hey, Deb, it's Sarah. I'm just calling, to follow up. Is Roy available?" It's that simple. Write their website, their phone number, any notes, and then leave some space here for follow up. You have to write down everything that happens, especially because you don't know these people, so that you have this list in front of you when you're following up. The more personalized that you can make the conversation, because you remember things like that you talked about, the better off that you're going to be, the better rapport that you're going to be able to build. Now, if you pick up the phone, your goal is to either schedule a website consultation with a product specialist, right? A website appointment, or a 15-minute consultation. So this is what the 15-minute consult is. And so when you're talking to them, if I'm calling up a contractor that I don't know, and I know that I'm going to see them at the home show, I would say something as simple as, "Hey, actually, I own a local business in town as well, but I was actually looking at who's going to the home show because I'm going to be going there with my husband. We're going to be evaluating some services. I noticed that you were there, and I was just wondering if you had a website." Now, again, I've already done some candidate research. I already know that they don't have one, or if they do, that I can't find it. But I want them to tell me. And then we'll get into a conversation. And right away, I've established kind of a personal connection, because I said, "Hey, I live in town as well." And that's just how it goes. And then eventually I'm gonna sell them an appointment, because I'll be able to say something like, "Actually, that's what I specialize in. I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the home show. But if you'd like, I'd love to schedule an appointment. We might be able to help you out with that." Right? That's what I would say. So I want to give you a couple of tips. Cold calling and calling through lists and reading scripts is not, it's just not effective. It's just not. I just haven't. There's a reason why sales, teams of people that follow this strategy have like the highest, I mean, it's like 1,000% turnover rate. It's because it's ineffective, it's inefficient, and it's not fun. And you don't enjoy when people cold call you. So like, it's like a kindergarten rule. Like if you don't want people to do it to you, you shouldn't do it to other people. So um, I want to be very clear that when we're picking up the phone and calling up contractors that we don't know, we are not treating them like a number. We are treating them like a person. And so I want to give you some tips to help you, because it's tricky. It's trickier over the phone than it is in person. You have less time. You've got 30 seconds to make it happen, make some magic happen, right? So the first order of business is to seek some sort of connection, some sort of personal connection, whether it's a like interest, work experience, that you saw that they're going to the home show, you live in the same town. Your friend used their service once. You've seen, it just had this happen when I was meeting someone. I said, wow, I've seen your trucks all around town. Something that's going to make them warm up to you, right? You're not going to like, when I say seek a personal connection, I don't mean like get all deep and crazy. I'm just saying seek something that's going to make them smile, make them warm up, and make them want to talk to you more, so that they know that you're not just treating them like a person. You're not like one of those annoying salespeople that's picking up the phone and calling them through and you don't care about them. All right. Another thing, smile when you talk. It's the silliest thing, but when you're talking to people, if you're nervous or talking to people that you don't know or whatever, if you just smiled while you're on the phone, that smile will come through in your voice, and that will be received well. Have your list in front of you so that you can tailor your message to the specific candidate you're talking to. So what I mean by that is have this list in front. So if your candidate research that they have an old site, that they are attending the home show. If you get tongue tied or nervous, you have those little bullet points in front of you, and you can use them to start up a conversation about that specific point. Does that make sense? Keep the focus on them by asking lots of questions. Always get information before you give it. And also keep it quick, right? Push for the appointment. You have to realize that you're calling people in the middle of their workday generally, or on their time off, and business owners don't usually have a lot of that. So, your goal is not to like have a 15-minute consultation. Your goal is to establish a connection, establish a need, and solve a problem. And you solve that problem by scheduling an appointment. So this is the phone example that we gave. Hey, this is Sarah Rose. I live and I actually own a business in the area. How are you? And then this is an actual conversation that happened, by the way. He said, things are great. How can I help you? And that's a very typical response. I'm not calling as a salesperson. They think I'm just calling because I want to do business with them. So my response was awesome. Listen, I noticed your work around town for years. I was checking out the home show list. I saw that you guys would be going. I actually went to look you up online, but it looks like your site might not have been updated in a while. Who updates your site? And then the response I got was, we actually haven't had time to update our site because we've been so busy preparing for the home show. Was there something specific or a specific question that you had that I could answer for you? Again, this is a very typical conversation. I called and I established that connection, and he warmed up to me a little bit, but he doesn't know me and he wants to answer my question because in his eyes, I'm just all I am as a potential business for him. And by the way, I actually was potential business for him. That's why this conversation went this way. So I said, listen, actually, I was just looking at who was going there so I could get ready for the home show, figure out what booths I wanted to figure out what booths I was going to visit. But on another note, listen, I work with a great company that might be able to help you with that. If you'd like, I could get you an appointment to get some information. Maybe after the home show, you could get your website updated, or if you could get it done before the home show, it might actually help you out a lot with people like me that are actually looking up information. And we just, we had an honest conversation about that. Scheduled an appointment. He was like, you know what, that'd be great. I've been meaning to get that updated, and you're right. It really should be updated before the home show. Timing, urgency, really good stuff. So, I recommend if you have home shows in your area, go ahead and visit them. Walk around, introduce yourself. You can also do this at BNI or chamber events, right? Anywhere that you can go that you can meet new prospects is a good idea. Establish some relationships, some personal connections. But please remember this. You need to respect their space, respect their time. They paid a fee to have that booth at the home show, so you cannot walk around and just solicit. You have to use this as an opportunity to introduce yourself and meet new people. It's a multi-step process. And when you're dealing in cold markets, you have to accept that. When you're dealing with warm markets, they're people that you already know. It's a little bit faster of a situation here, but I'm telling you, if you're willing to apply this information with people with urgency, you should see sales popping through sooner and the follow-up process to be a little bit shorter. Remember to exchange business cards or exchange contact information, not to just give business cards or contact information. You giving out your information, again, it's just not enough. You want to make sure that the ball is in your court, that you have an opportunity to follow up. Be friendly, smile, and stay organized. Every single person that you meet at these home shows or at these networking events, you want to make sure that you're writing it down, so that you have notes and specific things that you can reference when you make that follow-up call. With home shows, I recommend following up quickly, but giving them 2 to 3 days to just gather their thoughts and gather their own personal leads that they gain at the home show. So I recommend 2 to 3 days after the home show, call all the candidates on your list. Have your list in front of you so that, again, you can remember the names of the people that you met and any other notes that you may have taken down during the home show or during your candidate research, that research period, right? Open with that warm connection that you established when you were at the home show. So say, hey, it's Sarah Rose. It was so great to meet you. I know that we had only had a couple of minutes to talk there, but I just wanted to follow up with you on X, Y, and Z, right? You want to follow that same kind of format that I gave with that phone call example. But remember this, follow up is critical. They are going to be very, very busy after the home show, and they are not going to necessarily take that step to contact you, which is why that exchange of information is so critical to your success here. So if you don't follow up with them and there is a sense of urgency, somebody else will. Don't let that happen to you, and don't rely on them remembering to call you. You need to do the follow up. Okay, so prospecting, we're going to move on. Again, prospecting in warm markets, prospecting people with urgency is very, very important. One last little tip that I want to give you that you can apply to working with people that you don't know is to work in industries that you're familiar with. And here's why. When you're familiar with a particular industry, your comfort level in conversation just goes up dramatically, right? And your comfort level during the conversation is really going to make or break the conversation, right? Just think about yourself when you've had a conversation with a salesperson for like a car or a real estate agent or whatever. If that person was uncomfortable, were you wanting to do business with them? Likely you didn't want to. So identify where comfort comes from and then seek it. Your comfort in a conversation is going to come from your belief in your product and knowing you can help somebody, right? That's just basics. You can help somebody, that we're a good company, that we're going to do what we say we're going to do. But it also comes from just being knowledgeable, right? So if you're knowledgeable with a particular industry, use that to your advantage and dedicate some time to work and get to know different businesses inside of industries that you're familiar with, right? Make it a priority to care about them and make it a priority to work in areas you're comfortable. So, people feel comfortable in conversations when they can relate or when they can make a meaningful contribution. So ask yourself these questions. Where have you worked? What industries do you have experience with? And what about your friends or family or colleagues that you're very close with? If for example, if you worked in the restaurant business for years, you know how a restaurant functions. When they have really good weeks and when they have really bad weeks, how that affects the business owner. You know those things because you lived it. If your spouse works for a specific industry, they probably come home and talk to you about it. So if they're a dental hygienist, they probably come home and talk to you about how business is going. It's normal stuff. You have a little bit more comfort talking about that industry than, say, something else, right? Let's say you also were a consumer of something, like you just added on a new kitchen or a bathroom. The chances are you were a big part of that process and you got to know a little bit about how that goes. So if you talk to another person that owns a kitchen or a bath company, you may have some more meaningful things or feel more comfortable or confident having a conversation about those things. So understand this. You are going to use your experience within specific industries to relate to your prospect. And again, that first order of business was to relate and establish a personal connection. And when you can relate, establishing a personal connection is a lot easier. And because you're able to do that, you then establish trust. And this process is applied to people in your warm markets and with people with urgency. And it's also applied here when you're working with a brand new list of businesses and possibilities in your area within a specific industry. So what I recommend, another strategy that you can try, is to identify one of those industries that you're comfortable with and then write down all of the different businesses inside that industry. So for me, it's restaurants. I grew up waiting tables and working in the catering business. I'm very comfortable talking about that industry or having a conversation about that with a business owner. So I would write down every restaurant and catering company in my area, and then I would make it a point to go out and meet these people, whether it's on the phone or whether it's in person. But again, it's just going to give me, an opportunity to work in a situation where my comfort level is going to work to my advantage. All right. So again, just like with working with industries with urgency, your goal is to either drop in or to pick up the phone and establish a connection and either schedule an appointment. So there's nothing different about the actual sales process here. Again, the only difference in this strategy is it gives you more possibilities to work with, but the fundamentals and the basics of how we do business and how we schedule appointments is exactly the same. The only difference is the kind of conversations that you're having. And again, it's not that you're going to be talking about technology. It's not that you have to talk about features and benefits, but rather you can have a higher level conversation about their business, not about yours, but about theirs. So for restaurants, these are things that I know that I can ask questions about that are going to identify some very specific needs and ways that I can help. I can say to a restaurant owner, how's business been? How's your lunch rush? How's your dinner rush? You guys doing any catering? Or do you have a big order out business? Are people sharing you? Do you have regulars? Do you have walk-ins? How are you getting your specials out there to the local businesses? Are you faxing, emailing, or using social media? Like, these are questions I can ask a business owner and feel very, very confident because I know the restaurant industry, right? If this was HVAC, heating and air conditioning, I wouldn't know the kinds of things that an HVAC specialist experiences on a day-to-day basis. So my comfort level talking about their business is just a little bit lower. And that's why I recommend, if you're going to work in cold markets, that you start with industries that you have some sort of familiarity with. Now, another really cool thing about working in industries you're familiar with is that when you are finally ready to schedule an appointment, your recommendation is going to be weighted a lot heavier because they know that you know their industry, because they can tell by the conversation, by your knowledge level about their industry, that you care and that you understand their needs. And so when you make a recommendation to set an appointment and the product specialist is going to help them with whatever said problems came up, they're going to trust you. And that, again, that you seek that personal connection, you seek that you seek their by seeking that connection and making that connection, you eventually gain trust. Also, you can overcome their objections and their questions about our product by still selling the appointment, because again, don't confuse this process with selling features. When they start talking about how, oh, their lunch business is not great and they wish they could do X, Y, and Z, your response is not to now talk about how our solution specifically can address their needs. Your response is to let them know that our system probably can help them with that, but you're still selling an appointment. This high level conversation is about them. It is not about us. It is not about the website solution. It's about their industry. And you're using that high level conversation again to establish trust. It's that simple. Some ideas, again, some of the issues, objections, and questions that could come up and the benefit for our solution and how we can sell the appointment. Remember, benefits build value, not features. So it doesn't matter if you know our technology in and out. It does matter if you know that we can benefit them. So if their issue is, I want to be able to share my specials and get to more people faster, the response is simple. I know our system is designed to be easy to maintain and it comes with a ton of tools that might be able to help you do that. So I didn't get into the specifics of the features for how they would be able to do that. I just let them know that there is a benefit to scheduling an appointment with us because our system is designed to help them with that. Right? Another one. But people are probably Googling me on their phone. And then again, the response. We actually have a really great solution for that. I didn't get into specifics about mobile websites because then we're talking about features and you're convoluting the conversation and you're not selling an appointment at that point. At that point, you start selling a website and that's not what your goal is. But I fax my lunch specials. Great, that's cool. But wouldn't it be cool if you could get that out to more people and more people could share it? Our solution is designed to help you with that. Again, I don't talk about email marketing campaigns and social media share buttons and features. I'm just saying our solution is designed to help you with that. There's a benefit. Cost of printing is so expensive. Oh my gosh, we every time we have to do a new menu, it's like thousands of dollars to get everything updated. Oh, our solution is designed to be easy to update. We might be able to help you to consolidate where you don't have to be printing so much. Would that be beneficial for you? Right? Or what about growing their brand? They want to grow their brand. Wouldn't it be cool if all of the people that come into your restaurant all the time had a better way to share their testimonial or share you online? Our solution might be able to help you with that. Selling gift cards, easier on your hostess. Wouldn't it be great if your hostess didn't have to be on the phone all the time giving options for menus, prices, and directions? Our solution might be able to help you with that, right? So this, again, when you're dealing with these things, the conversation really needs to be about them and it needs to be selling the appointment. We have a solution for that. When can you meet? I'd love for a product specialist to talk to you about how we might be able to help you accomplish X, Y, and Z with our system. Just a couple last minute tips. Again, if you haven't gotten this message yet, let me say it one last time. You're selling an appointment. Talk in terms of how you can help them with their specific needs. You're not selling features or technology, you're selling benefits through an appointment. It helps to have that 15-minute consult in front of you and also your list from your research because that helps you to do some good data mining and it also helps you to be real specific and personal on the conversation, especially in these last two strategies that we talked about tonight, because they're not necessarily people that you know. They're people that you need to get to know, and so the more personal you can get right away with specific details, the better. And lastly, the old rules on selling the appointment are still 100% applicable to both of the last strategies that we just talked to you about. You still need to build rapport. You still need to identify needs. You still need to care about your prospect and you still need to sell the appointment. So guys, I hope this has been helpful for you. It looks like the recording happened successfully, so I will go ahead and convert it and have it uploaded for you tomorrow for your review, and I will be happy to take some questions. Thank you guys for spending your Tuesday night with me, and I hope you have an excellent week.